I'm Shannon Martin. Tonight's summertime fun hits a fever pitch with the return of festivals and big events. It also comes as Ontario enters its 7th wave of COVID.
Hell yeah, I'll take a shot. And yeah, I did my shot.
We'll take you to a vaccination clinic at the Honda Indy and
here today to celebrate life and the memories of my granddaughter.
10 years later, family gathers to remember the 2 young people killed in Toronto's worst mass shooting.
A 2-year hiatus, everybody's ready to dance. Tell me, how do you do it? Show me, kids. We gotta show her how to do this. What do you do? Yes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
2,000 junior masqueraders filled the streets in Scarborough along with their families for the return of the Junior Carnival Parade.
This is CBC Saturday News.
Thanks for joining us. It feels like no matter which corner of the city you're in, it's busy everywhere. Festivals, summer fun, and traffic. From Junior Carnival to the Honda Indy, this summer marks the return of many in-person events. It comes as the province is now in its 7th wave of COVID. As Meg Roberts shows us, Toronto Public Health is taking advantage of all the crowds in their push to get more shots into arms.
Big crowds are back at the Honda Indy. Lots of people out eating a hot dog, maybe drinking a beer. It all feels pretty normal. That's until you stumble upon this year's newest booth where you can get a COVID-19 booster shot.
Yesterday I came by and there was no lineup. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take a shot. And yeah, I did my shot, waited 5 minutes, and that was it. Can't get any better than this. Hello.
Michael Rio is a big Indy fan. His wife, not so much. But after he went home and raved about the convenience of Toronto Public Health's pop-up vaccination clinic at the event, it was incentive for her to come out.
All right, how was it? Fine.
It's part of Toronto Public Health's initiative to get more people vaccinated. There will be booths at the Bloor West Street Festival, Toronto Fringe Festival, and other events this summer. The clinics will provide the first up to the 4th COVID-19 dose for residents age 5 and older on a walk-in basis. No appointments and no health card required.
I don't have to think about where to go. I'm here already, so might as well do it while I'm here.
I think it's great. It's much easier. Like when we live in the high-risk neighborhood, so it's very hard sometimes to get the shot. So this was like so perfect.
As cases of COVID-19 continue to rise across Ontario, officials have opened up a 4th dose to anyone over the age of 18 as we enter the 7th wave, although mainly targeted at those with underlying illnesses. And Ontario expects to receive supplies of COVID-19 vaccines for children between the ages of 6 months and 5 years by late next week.
Some people are very eager to get their children vaccinated, and others might not. You might have some lingering questions. You might have some lingering concerns. This is a perfect time to sit down with your family physician, your pediatrician, whoever provides your family with primary health care, and discuss these issues.
Toronto Public Health is also hosting more than 400 vaccination clinics in schools across Toronto this summer. On top of COVID-19 shots, it will also provide hepatitis B, meningococcal, and human papillomavirus vaccines. Meg Roberts, CBC News, Toronto.
In other news tonight, it was 10 years ago that gunshots tore through a neighborhood barbecue in Scarborough, killing 2 young people and hurting more than 20. Earlier today, a gathering remembered and honored all the lives forever changed that night.
And this tree represents hope, life, happiness, freedom.
That's Tyrone Charles, the grandfather of Cheyenne Charles. She was 14 years old. 23-year-old Joshua Yase was also killed. The shooting in the Danzig neighborhood remains Toronto's largest mass shooting. Charles spoke today about why it is a day to celebrate the life of his granddaughter.
I'm going to celebrate that because that is about 2 things, name and motion. And that leaves us a heartache no one could heal. But love leaves us a memory no one could steal. So we're celebrating the memory of Cheyenne.
The small ceremony was made up of community members, family, and city officials. Mayor John Tory reflected on this anniversary and how the community came together.
To have the sense of hope that was brought today by Cheyenne's grandfather and I'm sure the same applies to our thoughts about Joshua and his family, is something that I think is the right approach for us to take. You know, it's a sense of hope accompanied by a great sense of determination that we have, that this is not going to happen again.
4 young men were charged in connection to the shooting, one facing life in prison. Tonight, the Toronto sign will be dimmed to mark the anniversary. Toronto police have arrested a man after a deadly shooting earlier this month. 26-year-old Nicholas Hirsch is charged with first-degree murder. You may remember this story from last week. Police said a woman was in a parking lot off Gerrard Street when a suspect arrived and shot her. 32-year-old Megan Elizabeth Krant died on scene. Investigators continue to search for another suspect, Chelsea Mace, in connection with the shooting. A man driving an electric scooter is in hospital after being hit by a car last night. It happened near University and Elm around 6:30. Police say the 27-year-old man on the scooter was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The driver did remain on scene. If you happen to have seen anything or have dash camera footage, police want to hear from you. Meantime, the Prime Minister making a number of appearances in southern Ontario this weekend, including in Scarborough for the return of the Junior Carnival Parade. As Dale Manukduk shows us, it comes after a bit of a rocky start to the weekend for the PM.
On Friday, the Prime Minister was supposed to attend an event at a local brewery in Ottawa, but after a protest started to gather across the street, including a woman carrying a flag emblazoned with profanity directed at the Prime Minister, that appearance was canceled. The RCMP says it was due to safety concerns. Now, today, Trudeau had 2 stops planned. The first was in Toronto's East End for Junior Carnival, the lead-up event to the Grand Parade scheduled for July 30th. And while the parade route was smaller, the crowd was smaller, and certainly the participants, the energy was just as high. 2,000 junior masqueraders marched some 600 meters wearing extravagant and intricate costumes. The Prime Minister took time to acknowledge them and talk about how important the event is.
Canada is about standing up for each other, being there for each other, and what better way to do that than on a glorious sunny day, celebrating our young people with Junior Carnival. Happy Carnival, everyone!
The second stop was 80 kilometers north of the city in Bradford. The Prime Minister attending a convention called the Jalsa Salana Canada for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. It is the largest and longest running convention of its kind, spanning 3 days. Thousands were in attendance. But if there were any concerns about protests or disruptions causing cancellations, it wasn't apparent. Both of them ran smoothly. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Bradford.
As you just saw in Dale's piece there, this weekend it's the much-anticipated return of the Kiddies for Mass Junior Carnival Parade. Our Dahlia Ashry was there for all the fun.
A spectacular display of majestic, vibrant costumes, music, and culture.
It means we can all get together and just have fun.
Contagious, exhilarating energy was felt at this year's Junior Caribbean Carnival Parade.
After a 2-year hiatus, everybody's ready to dance. Tell me, how do you do it? Show me, kids.
We gotta show her how to do this.
What do you do? Yes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
2,000 kids and 12 mass bands participated in this year's Kiddies for Mass Junior Carnival Parade, organized by the Toronto Caribbean Carnival Committee. The parade is in the city's East End in the Malvern area in Scarborough, celebrating the next generation of the masqueraders that are going to be leading the carnival into the future. This 10-year-old is happy to be back.
Your first time?
No.
No, you've done
I've been doing this since I was 3 years old with my mom.
And Mom was right by Violet's side today. She's Ontario's Associate Minister of Women's Social and Economic Opportunity.
We love playing Mass every year. It's a time for us to be free, to dance, and to celebrate, especially coming through COVID.
Organizers say it's about celebrating culture and the significance of Caribbean traditions and history.
The roots are in emancipation, and it's about freedom and diversity, and it's about just giving, especially for the children, an opportunity to really celebrate who they are and where they came from.
This costume designer of these fiery outfits wasted no time during the pandemic.
With nothing to do, so I had almost 2 years working on it.
The Trinidadian designer has been creating costumes for over a decade. He says making the trip down from Montreal was worth it.
It means everything, just to see the expression and the happiness that they feel in enjoying something like this, which is a cultural experience to them.
And that expression and happiness will also be on display at the Grand Parade on July 30th.
How does it feel to be back?
It feels great.
Is there a specific name for this dance or a move?
No, you just go slow. You just feel the rhythm.
Okay.
Dahlia Ashry, CBC News, Toronto.
I love that. So much fun. Okay, so there's a lot going on around the city. So if you're out and about, you definitely need to pack some patience if you're planning to drive anywhere. Road closures and restrictions are taking place right across the GTA, with the Honda Indy Toronto making its return. The southbound lanes of Strachan between Fleet Street and Lakeshore Boulevard West are currently closed until 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. The Big on Bloor Festival has Bloor Street West between Dufferin and Lansdowne closed until 3 a.m. on Monday, while Bloor Street West between Jane and Runnymede will be closed until 11:59 p.m. tonight for the Bloor West Street Festival. You can find a full list of all the closures at cbc.ca/Toronto. Sophia is here. Yeah, find another way, public transit, because you don't want to be stressed when you're going out to have fun.
No, and luckily it is beautiful if you're taking 2 feet as opposed to 4 wheels for all those road closures, not only along Lakeshore, but right into the downtown core. Shannon, gorgeous weekend, and today's the day to go out and enjoy. You'll squeak out a pretty good Sunday as well. Temperatures right now, if you're heading out to the Indy or to any of those street festivals, just a degree or 2 above seasonal. Plenty of sunshine, and the overnight will be lovely as well if you're heading out at the Jays game or the Ticats game in Hamilton. Probably one of the last nights for the next few days that you're going to get to have the windows open into the overnight period. We're at the forefront of a bit of a heat event for the city of Toronto and for much of southern Ontario. But Sunday, though, will be pleasant. Feeling like 21 for Sunday morning. Clouds will build if you're heading out to the Indy into the afternoon or to Rogers Centre for the game. UV index will be high, but it's Sunday night I want to draw your attention to. First of all, clouds will build, as will some showers for those of you along the Erie shorelines and along this warm front that will skirt along the lakes until Monday morning. All of us will see a bit of rain, but here's your spoiler alert. You're not going to see much for the city of Toronto. We'll break down the numbers and the timing for you in the long range. Shannon.
Yeah. A large group gathering today to protest against Sri Lanka's emergency situation.
We want a new system, new government with justice and fairness, and with the way the internationally accepted rules. That's what we are expecting. We want a peaceful country for our people. We want basic human rights for our people.
This was the scene in Scarborough. It's been a week since protests forced Sri Lanka's president to flee. Parliament there has begun the process of choosing his successor. The speaker opening proceedings, the president's resignation letter was also read. It blamed the economic meltdown on years of government mismanagement. It also pointed to tourism and money from Sri Lankans working abroad. Both were key to the economy, and both were throttled by the pandemic. A parliamentary vote choosing the next president is expected on Wednesday. Well, a casual fist bump between the President of the United States and the Saudi Crown Prince is getting a lot of attention. Critics say it gave the prince unwarranted redemption for the murder of a journalist. Chris Reyes takes a closer look.
From that first fist bump with Saudi's Crown Prince to the final wave from the tarmac in Jeddah, President Biden packed a lot in between during his 2-day visit to Saudi Arabia, part of a 4-day trip to the Middle East, his first to the region since taking office. Today, he met with Arab leaders from 9 countries, including Egypt, Kuwait, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates. The message he kept repeating, this:
we will not walk away and leave a vacuum to be filled by China, Russia, or Iran. We'll seek to build on this moment with active, principled American leadership.
Biden promised to support economic development, security, and democratic freedoms, outlining his administration's new framework for the Middle East. Despite the friendly photo ops, the meetings raised some contentious issues, including the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. U.S. intelligence later concluded that the murder was approved by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, something the Crown Prince has denied. Saudi's foreign minister says MBS fired back when Biden raised the issue.
The Crown Prince responded that this was a painful episode for Saudi Arabia and that it was a terrible mistake, that the kingdom launched an investigation into this matter. The idea that one can impose values on other countries, His Royal Highness made clear, does not work.
Biden leaves the region with some promise of more oil production from Saudi Arabia, something he said he hoped would happen to help ease high gas prices in the U.S. and Europe's reliance on Russian supplies. The Crown Prince said it will increase its production to 13 million barrels per day, but no more than that.
The United States is invested in building a positive future in the region in partnership with all of you, and the United States is not going anywhere.
Despite the lack of guarantees, Biden at least leaves the region with images signaling a new chapter of cooperation. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
An out-of-control wildfire near Lytton, BC has destroyed at least 6 homes and forced dozens of people to evacuate. Officials warn those numbers could rise as crews fight the fast-growing fire that's been burning since Thursday. It's less than 2 kilometers from the village. It was completely destroyed by fire during last year's record-breaking wave. Another wildfire, this one in northern Manitoba, has forced about 65 people from their homes on Matthias Colomb Cree Nation. Meantime, fires are ravaging parts of Western Europe, the result of a punishing heat wave. Thousands have been forced to leave their homes. Rebecca Collard reports from Berlin.
These wildfires are now sweeping across Europe because of this combination of extreme heat and these very, very strong winds. France says that 200,000 acres of that country are on fire. French crews have been struggling to control these blazes. Yesterday, French President Emmanuel Macron said that the country had already lost 3 times as much area to wildfires as the country did in the fire season in 2020. And that gives you an idea of how unique and how extreme the conditions are now here in Europe. Spain says that there are 75,000 acres of that country are on fire. And we've seen these images of places like Malaga, which are really tourist destinations where people go to enjoy their vacations on the beach. And instead, what we're seeing are these plumes of smoke rising above these hills, these helicopters trying to put out the blaze, and these mass evacuations, thousands of people being forced to flee from their homes, from resorts, as these Spanish crews try also to get the wildfires under control. Now, the UK has declared a state of emergency because they're so concerned about the extreme temperatures that are predicted over the next few days. And, you know, I will say for some people this is going to mean cooling off in a river or cooling off in the sea, but Europe is not prepared for these sort of temperatures. It's actually much like the southern British Columbia and what we saw there last year and in previous heat waves. People don't have air conditioning. People are not prepared for this sort of heat. And, you know, here in Germany, they're actually talking about setting up cooling centers. So there's been this discussion over the last few months about Germany possibly having a very difficult time this winter because of the cold and because of the lack of Russian fuel, and that they'll need to set up these heating centers for people in the winter. And now there's a discussion about setting up cooling centers because most people in Germany, here in Germany, just don't have any cooling in their house. You know, at the same time, previously when we've seen fires in Europe, we've seen, and again, Emmanuel Macron talked about this yesterday, you know, one country's fire crews pitching in to help another country's when the country is suffering from a wildfire. But what I think the concern is now is that you are seeing these wildfires really start up across the continent, and really Europe is not prepared to deal with it. Rebecca Collard for CBC News, Berlin.
And we're taking a live look at Ottawa this hour, where it's shaping up to be just a beautiful, warm weekend. Sophia will be back with us next to talk about your long-range forecast and that heat event. Stay with us. Lots of street festivals are back in person this summer. This weekend, the Big on Bloor Festival is back for its 15th year.
On Bloor celebrates art, culture, local business. We're here celebrating the return of in-person events with beautiful weather in the skies and beautiful people in the crowds.
The pandemic made everyone feel isolated. And this Big on Bloor Festival is a real community event. This is real community efforts, like the Salvation Army has a table, and every little ma and pa shop does. And that's really what this community is known for. It's for newcomers and for kind of artists and musicians.
Traffic was closed along the Bloordale neighborhood from Dufferin to Lansdowne. The festival features a variety of art projects by more than 100 local artists. Organizers expect more than 100,000 visitors will be taking part in the festival, as you heard, enjoying the art projects.
And Shannon, get this? It was a picture perfect sky.
Oh,
yeah, that one was
she's
just
always
brewing.
on it, folks. She's just like
and that one was
so
just waiting
quick
to come out.
But I just love the return of all these things, people being together, and we're having the best weather.
Yeah, and it feels totally natural. 2 weekends in a row of the kind of weather that you want to write home to mom about. And we feel like a broken record for like a third weekend on a row. We have rain incoming, but you're not going to see much of it in the city of Toronto. Through Tuesday, south and west of the city and north and east of the city, there will be a little bit of rain, but everybody will see the building heat and the humidity, and from that we could see a couple non-severe pop-up rumbles of thunder. So there is the chance of some of you getting a good soaking, but it will be very hit and miss. Let's talk about how dry it's been for a minute. Surface soil moisture here measures how dry it is a couple inches below the surface. Right across the board, that's kind of the level where your grass's roots would be. Right across the board, it is very, very dry. Even in places like Windsor, where they have seen a few rainy systems, they've only seen about 31% of the normal rainfall this month. How much have we seen in Toronto? Only about 11%, only about 8 millimeters of rain for this entire month of July. You will see a little bit though Sunday overnight. The rain pushes in, higher confidence of some thunderstorms and heavier rain along the Erie shorelines and Niagara region for Monday morning. Monday afternoon, that QEW corridor and that 401 corridor will see a little bit of rain, not a ton, 5 to 10 millimeters maybe, and then heavier rain into the evening into the Ottawa Valley. All clears out Monday, Tuesday, some light showers, but it's really going to be a week of the mid-30s, feeling closer to 40. We'll unpack that a little bit more for you tomorrow, Shannon.
Sophia, that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. You can stay caught up on news anytime on our website. We'll see you tomorrow.